I'm going to show you how to make biscuits from scratch using fresh milled wheat. My name's Brittany and this is my channel, Marvel and Make. I love to share nutrient-dense recipes with you guys, so check out my other content if you love this video. So let's jump into making biscuits. This is my Mock Mill Lino 100. I absolutely love it. It is a stone mill, so it uses stones to grind the grains into flour. You just turn it on before you use it and then dunk your grains into the hopper. And that shoots out beautiful flour. It's a little bit loud, so don't mill grains if you have sleeping little ones. It's about the same volume as a vacuum. There are different settings on it, 1 to 20. 1 is the most fine, that's what I have it on now, and then 20 would be very coarse, like basically splitting peas. I did do that one time, split peas for our chickens. um, but you can adjust the settings, and it's great if you're like doing grits or something. So it just spits the flour right out. It does not make a huge mess at all. I was actually surprised that it didn't. So here's your soft white wheat, and that's what we're going to be using for this recipe. I'm just going to measure out 2.5 cups of the flour into my glass mixing bowl. All of the ingredient measurements will be in the recipe that I'll link below. So make sure to check all of that out. Next, I'm adding in some baking powder, followed by baking soda and some salt. And I'm just going to mix all of this together. You could use a whisk, you could even just use your hands. This is a pastry blender, and I'm going to use the pastry blender to incorporate the fat. For this recipe, I'm using lard. You could use tallow, you could use butter. I've used both of those, and they make a great biscuit. I grew up using Crisco before I knew that lard is actually very good for you. So now I use lard in a lot of my ingredients, and it's what I fry everything in. Um, if you don't have a pastry blender, definitely get one. I use them for making like pie crust. So, pie crust will end up looking the same way, but you just basically are wanting to coat the flour with the fat before you add a liquid. If you don't have a pastry blender, you can also use like your hands or a couple forks. This is my homemade buttermilk. If you do not make buttermilk at home, you should use a mason jar like this and just grab some store-bought buttermilk, put that in the bottom of this mason jar, and then top it with raw milk. Cover it with a coffee filter or a tea towel or something just to keep any dust or critters out, and then let it sit out on the counter for 2 days, and it will turn into a beautiful buttermilk. Then you can transfer it to the fridge, keep it on hand for recipes like this or for pancakes. I use buttermilk for soaking oats overnight. So that's hot water and just a little bit of buttermilk, a little bit of an acid is what you want to do for soaking oats. So I am now just mixing everything with a silicone spatula before switching to my hands. Um, when you're working this dough, you want to be really careful not to overwork it because it will end up um, they'll end up being kind of crumbly and kind of hard. So to keep a fluffy biscuit, you just basically barely want to incorporate everything. And then you just make them into the shape of a biscuit. And I use a smaller cast iron, and I do 6 biscuits. You could do larger biscuits, you could do smaller ones. I also have a recipe for loaded biscuits that I will link. That is using the same dough. So you get all this, you get all the way here, and then you add in sausage and shredded cheese and mix that all together, and then put it into a 9x13 pan. That's a really easy breakfast, and it freezes well. So I'll like portion that up and freeze it for, meals on the go. You don't want to worry about incorporating everything into the biscuits. You just want to get everything incorporated just enough and then form them. Next, I'm going to top it with this buttermilk. This is a trick that I learned from my great grandmother. This just helps to keep them nice and moist when they're baking. So these guys are ready to go into the oven. I'm putting them in a 450-degree oven. 12 minutes is about the sweet spot for my oven. And they are done. They are beautiful. And I'm going to serve them with some sausage gravy. So while they were cooking, I whipped up some sausage gravy. I will also link that recipe. It is extremely simple. Just some, some fresh milled flour, a little bit of stock, some heavy cream, sausage. Now you know how to make biscuits from scratch using flour that you made in your own home. It really is that simple. You just have to kind of start working it into your routine. If you're new to milling grains, I have a lot of resources on my blog, marvelandmake.com. I have some other videos here you can watch. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. That's how the channel grows. I'd love it. I appreciate your support. And thanks so much for watching.